Hey X, I've got something that's happened to me recently that I wanted to share. I work for a larger farm in the northeastern US. My parents own a small farm, so I know firsthand how different things can be on both. For example, if your big farm has enough workers, you can get sick days, which is what I had to take 3 days ago. I'm getting ahead of myself though. It was how I think I got sick that is more interesting. I'm in charge of rounding up the pastured animals in the A group for milking in the mornings and evenings. It was really nice out, even for 5 in the morning, and the sun was just rising. Most cows sleep together out in the open. Some go hiding in the forest, where it's hard to take my four-wheeler, which is what I saw a group of them doing. So, it was by foot and into the underbrush I went. And that's where things went wrong. I had dismounted right where I could see the cows and only had to make a few turns and dips in deer paths to get to the lazy things. I got to the group of 4 and roused them and chased them out of the woods. One of them is a big old girl who bullies people because she's bigger and knows she's better than you, so she took a swing with her head at me a few times. Cue my calling her an ugly old bitch, and she's lucky she was pregnant or else I would sell her personally. She completely ignores me and ambles off with the rest of her little posse to the larger stream of animals heading down through the pasture. At this moment, I'm not too worried about heading out after them since I'm one of 5 people that herds the animals. I was caught on a patch of brambles and trying to get free when this eerie, piercing squeal comes up from further in the forest. Just thinking about it gives me the chills. It sounded kind of like a deer screaming, but it was way too loud. I was standing there, caught in a thorn patch, waiting for it to happen again when I heard this strange shuffling to my right. I really don't know what it was. It looked vaguely like a naked human, arms, legs, torso, but they were all way too long and thin. Its arms and legs all bowed out. It was walking towards me, backwards, with these really horrible, jerky movements. It seemed to try to be looking at me over its shoulder, and all I could see were these bulbous yellow eyes, and teeth. These awful needle-like teeth. Nope.jpg. Screw the brambles, screw everything. I scramble the hell out, proceeding to shred my flesh and clothes in the process. I hear this massive crashing, but at that point was too terrified to look to see if it was the abomination or not. My four-wheeler was still there and running by some miracle, but was facing the direction of the woods, which I wasn't sure I had done. I jumped on, which made me face the woods again. The thing was nowhere in sight, but I didn't stop to really examine the brush line. I turned around in a tight circle and got the hell out of there. When I finally got down into the main pasture, the tail end of the line was heading into the barn, and 3 of the other herders were at the bottom, chatting. They all looked up when they saw me driving up. One of them raised his arms in a "what the hell happened" gesture, but I didn't give him time to speak before I had jumped off and was talking to them. I told them everything that had happened and what I'd seen, not even stopping to think they might think I was crazy. They all looked a little uncomfortable, and not just a little scared, but because of how scared I was, they didn't think I was lying, and probably how I kept looking over my shoulder to see if the thing had finally made its way out of the woods or not. One of the guys called the herdsman, the guy that's in charge of the cows, and told him there was a situation in the A group. Nothing terribly specific, just I'd seen an unsub in the woods and it looked more dangerous to people than cows. I got reassigned to milking to finish my shift, so I didn't have to go back out, and everyone considered that to be the end of that. Except it wasn't. As I was helping prep for milking, I started feeling shaky and chilly. I figured I was just coming down from an adrenaline high, but as milking progressed, this was clearly not the case. Several of the milkers commented on how pale I was and were alarmed at the scratches on my arms and face. It looked like an animal had attacked me. I told them I had only gotten caught in some thorns before one of them took a picture of me with her phone and showed me what I looked like. It really did look like an animal had attacked me. I'm talking claw marks on my neck, on my arms. I even had a black eye I had no idea I'd even had. Needless to say, this freaked me out pretty badly, to the point where one of the milkers called the herdsman and told me to go to the office so I could check out and go home. Nobody really wanted me to be on my own, so one of the milkers walked me over from the milking parlor to the office, which was like 50 feet away, but I was still glad for the company. Being outside made me start looking for the thing again. The herdsman was in the office, along with my boyfriend, who's the herdsman's nephew. The herdsman is a co-owner of the farm, so he can basically make executive decisions about the shit that goes on, and they'd already decided that my boyfriend would take me home. At this point, I didn't want to be alone a lot more than I wanted to rest though, so there was some deliberation, and my condition was going rapidly downhill. I was so gone with fever at that point that I couldn't really understand what anyone was saying. All I could hear was this long, drawn-out scraping, like something big was rubbing up against the side of the office. I cut into the discussion, asking if a cow was loose because I thought I could hear one outside. This got me a funny look, but my boyfriend went to one of the windows to look outside. Apparently there was something out there, but it was human rather than animal, and they were standing in the gravel driveway. My boyfriend had said hello and can I help you to this person, and had turned to go to the door so he could speak more normally to the person. The conversation went something like, "What can I do for you?" Silence. "Is there anything we can help you with?" Silence. "All right, if you need anything, you let us know." Silence. He and the herdsman had another short deliberation about who the hell was outside and why they were so weird. The herdsman went to talk to the guy, and my boyfriend turned back to me to get up out of the office's couch so I could go home. Well, he's gone. Both my boyfriend and I were WTFing. How could the guy be just gone? My boyfriend decided I would ride in a tractor with him for the next 7 hours instead of go home, which I heartily endorsed. His other option was that I go to the doctor's, which we fought about and I eventually won. I really didn't want to be alone and possibly run up against the guy. I hadn't taken into consideration that the fields my boyfriend was working in were surrounded by woods, however. I spent most of the entire time staring at them, waiting for something to come out. It was only around 8:30 when my boyfriend finally decided he was done with work and parking that I did see something. Way off on the other side of the field he'd been working, I saw something standing between the trees. It was definitely a person, but they just kept standing there, motionless. It felt like they were staring at me, just like I was staring at them. I went home and had to be taken to the doctor in the middle of the night. My fever was too high and I wasn't getting better. That was 5 days ago. I'm feeling marginally better now, but I'm still sick and exhausted. I haven't even worked up enough courage to look out the window this morning to check the tree line to see if the thing is there. Every now and again I'll think I see something standing in the trees or something. Since I saw whatever I saw, some weird shit has happened on the farm. The office came up trashed one morning, like a wild animal had gone through it. Nothing valuable was taken, and the foodstuffs in it was strewn around. Also, there were a few bloody smears in high places that looked like handprints, which is probably what persuaded the owners to call the police. Some of the workers have been complaining about seeing a stranger hanging around the farm, but no two people agree on what he looks like. Some people who live close to the farm have even said they'd seen the stranger following them home, but was easily frightened away with the threat of bodily harm. One of the guys had said he thought he saw an animal out on his porch the other night. He said he saw its eyes reflecting in the field and decided he wouldn't bother it until it got up to the door, which was when he opened the door and greeted said animal with a face full of shotgun. He's probably 60 or so and a ballsy guy. He said it looked like a coy dog, except bigger than any he's ever seen. No one's reported seeing the thing I saw initially, but then, who would, really?